Ladies and gentlemen, we will move on to the keynote, Empowering the World with Data. And our speaker for this session is Mr. Puneet Gupta, MD and Vice President, NetApp. Before I invite him onto the stage, I will do a brief introduction. Mr. Puneet Gupta is responsible for the overall business and operations of NetApp in India. Here he is on stage, and the SAARC region. His directive includes growing market share and driving healthy ecosystem growth among both partners and customers in the region. This includes driving the data fabric experience, managing strategic partnerships, and developing hybrid multi-cloud products as well as solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as I welcome on stage here with us our leadership keynote speaker, Mr. Puneet Gupta. A huge round of applause, please.
Thank you.
And a warm welcome.
Thank you. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So firstly, a big thanks to the Anand Bazar Patrika group for inviting us and giving us this opportunity. Probably what I'm going to speak to you today on the role that data is going to play in our lives, and that's why the topic, empowering the world with data. I want to go back in time a little bit, and this was probably the year 2014 or 2015. I was at a NASSCOM event in Mumbai, and in that event, Mr. Ambani spoke about, used a term, let's say, where he said data is the new oil. A very powerful statement, a little underscored with the audience at that time. I think a lot has happened in those 8 or 9 years. Today, data is oxygen. Data is our life. For those of you who practice IT, who are CXOs, CIOs in your organizations, think of an environment where data is not available to you for a few minutes. We're not even talking hours or days. If data is not available, the whole operation, the whole company will come to a standstill. That's how important data has become in our lives. It's almost like till we have oxygen, we don't even realize that there is oxygen in the air. You go high up in the mountains and you're a little short, and you start realizing how important it is. That's exactly the role that data is going to play in our lives. Let's kind of, if you see what's happening in the world, probably battle lines are getting drawn around data. You have data privacy issues, you have countries making laws around it. There is value being attached to data. I think, somebody said, and war is not a good word, but they said probably the next war is going to be around data. That's how important it's going to, become for all of us. What's adding to the story is that the form of data is changing. So if you go back 10 years, data used to sit in the data center. That's where largely it was. But look at it today. With the advent of 5G and as it gets rolled out, you'll have more and more data sitting on devices, on cameras, on IoT devices, on the end user devices. I mean, whole lot. And it's not going to be now limited to the data center. So you'll have the story of the core and the edge, plus now data is also sitting in public cloud. So you have on-prem, or as people call private cloud, or hybrid cloud, multi-cloud. I mean, there are all of these terms that have emerged. And that adds to the complexity. What adds even more is that the quantum of data is going up. So I heard the statement which said, every year we generate more data than has ever been generated in the history of human mankind. That's the rate of explosion that's happening. A larger data sitting in multiple platforms, edge and core, is going to make the challenge of handling data a little more complex. If you look at what's happening in the India context, we have some of the largest data sets in the world. There is the 1.35 billion of Aadhaar, which is pretty massive and used really extensively over the last several years. We heard about UPI earlier in the day, almost like 2,000 plus transactions that happen every second. We have CoWIN, which was one of the fastest vaccine programs built on a technology platform, almost 2 billion vaccines. That's the scale. And for those of you who are in the consumer business on a digital platform, your customer set could be 100 million, 500 million, 800 million, a billion. That's the kind of data that you would be dealing with either on-prem or on the cloud. So without any doubt, data is valuable and it's equally vulnerable. Security of data is fundamental for most customers because it's an asset, it's an intellectual property, you can name it whatever. Going forward, NetApp ran a report or kind of did a research, and one of the interesting findings was that 98% of the companies are in their cloud journey. Almost 3 out of 4 workloads are still sitting on-prem. But the advent on the cloud is extremely strong. And most enterprises have made a move, but not fully there. What that means is that enterprises now have to find to live in this new world is what is being called hybrid. You have on-prem stuff, you can call it private cloud, or you have public cloud with multiple hyperscalers. I think that's the new story that's coming. If you look at a lot of the use cases that are being talked about, like I heard about the smart energy meters, data gets beamed directly on the cloud. Just think about the kind of data that's being thrown into the cloud. So we are going to get overwhelmed with the amount of data that's going to show up. How do you manage it? How do you handle it? How do you make intelligence out of it? How do you relate it to more and more business? The other thing that the report told us was 3 very important trends in the world of data. The first is AI. I think you've heard a lot about AI from some of our fellow speakers earlier in the day. The second is around data security, which I think is one of the most talked about topics or one of the most relevant ones. And the third is about sustainability, which is not just about IT, but it's like across everything that we live in. And honestly, I like live in Delhi, so can't tell you more about the impact that sustainability has on our lives. Let's first go to AI. At the heart of AI is data. The whole system is built on the fact that the machine will get intelligence out of the data you feed it. Larger the data set, the better the quality, better is the artificial intelligence system that we build. And what matters to it also is the localization of the data or how close the data is to where this system is. For those of you who've had experience in the high performance computing world, will know that it's a multiple iterative process. You need data right next to the machine that's going to build intelligence out of it. All the other stuff around enterprise grade security is all given. But the intelligence comes from the fact that data is going to teach the machine, and better the quality, better is the intelligence of the machine that's going to be. Let's talk about security. I think ransomware is something that is one of the most talked about topics. You have a lot of numbers on this chart, but suffice it to say, if there's a ransomware attack, God forbid if there's a ransomware attack, it has exponential cost. First, you need to pay an obscene amount of money to the rogue guys. Second, your business comes to a standstill. You are not operational till you pay up. And that opportunity cost is huge. And third is just the sheer embarrassment and the loss of goodwill that we were held to ransom by someone else. If you read the press, we have enough instances on ransomware attack in both public and private organizations. In majority of the cases, there is just too much embarrassment to even acknowledge that we've had a ransomware attack. In fact, I can tell you, we deal with a lot of customers, and it takes a lot of effort to even get the customer to acknowledge and say, yes, I had a ransomware attack. It comes out a little sheepishly, quietly, and then they are looking for ways to get out of it, right? I think what we are doing as a firm, we're saying that we will guarantee recovery of data in the unfortunate event that there is a ransomware attack. with all the security technology that is there, and I think technology is really advanced in this battle of good versus the bad, and I would call it like a cat and mouse game, that who's going ahead. But there is nothing called a 100% foolproof system. And in that eventuality, if you do get attacked, the ability to recover data, and we are not talking hours, we are talking minutes. If you can recover the data in minutes, I think that is incredible. And the way it happens is, it's a pretty, I mean, it's not anything very complex. It's the ability to create a data copy with an air gap that you can make available in a very short span of time. And the company is putting money on the table by saying, if we can't recover the data, we will pay compensation. Obviously, nowhere close to what the ransomware guys would go ask for, because that would be humongous. But still, it's the level of confidence we have to be able to recover the data. Let's talk a little about sustainability. It's something that governments are talking about, politicians are talking about, enterprise leaders are talking about, everybody in the world is talking about. I'm sure many of you will have KRS and metrics that would be built on sustainability. And they say that by 2030, a large footprint of the data center would be around data, which means it's incumbent upon us on how we make the whole technology or the whole operations a lot more sustainable. First, I think the whole hybrid multi-cloud is a big step in this direction, because the hyperscalers have gone and built their data centers. If you can find that right balance between on-prem and the public cloud, then enterprises don't need to expand their own data centers. You find a lot more efficiency around that. The second, of course, is the basic tools like storage efficiency, which allows you to use less hardware against the kind of data requirements you have, or even something as simple as a denser system, right? Or systems which need less power and will emit less heat. So all the basics. And I can tell you as a company, we are really leapfrogging that story vis-a-vis a lot of our peers. So coming back, data clearly is a strategic business enabler for almost every enterprise in the world. Whether you are in data center modernization or app modernization or AI or a SaaS platform, really doesn't matter. It will become one of the most important and strategic enablers. And clearly, I think we will see a day when the value of data will start showing up in the balance sheet. So that gets us to the point in terms of where is NetApp at in the story. I think we are redefining the term unified storage. If you go back in time, and for those who are familiar with this technology and protocols, unified storage used to be about NAS and SAN. Those were two workloads that used to define unified. Today, the definition of unified is going to be around NAS, SAN, object workloads, and even the data that sits with the hyperscalers. I think the partnership that NetApp embarked on a few years back, almost 6 or 7 years back, with the three hyperscalers, that is Amazon, Microsoft, and Google, has paid off extremely well. These companies have announced what we call first-party products, which is products that are their products that they go sell, but built on a NetApp technology, which is the ONTAP operating system that is there. And what that does for all of you is, you can manage it seamlessly, you can move data between private cloud, on-prem, and the public cloud, or even multiple clouds. So the story of unified is like, how do I manage a diverse set of data from a single plane and move it seamlessly? I think that's the new story on unified that's going to be. Okay, in terms of how we do in India, I think we are privileged to work with almost who's who in India. All the leading financial services companies. In fact, the largest bank, both public and private, we work very, very closely. In fact, with the largest bank outside of their core banking, Everything kind of runs on NetApp, which is internet banking, private cloud, treasury, loan management, almost everything. And in fact, the organization that runs the whole backend of UPI is also very strong with NetApp. The whole core infrastructure runs with us. So we work with all the leading financial institutions, all the 3 large telcos, major government entities, all the top ITS companies, all the 6 of them, and the cloud native aggregators, both globally and in India. And I think it's a real privilege. With this, I come to the last slide, and which is a big thank you to all of you, because NetApp was declared as the market leader in all flash in India. All flash is really the future of the storage world. A lot of people believe that the world of spinning disks is kind of going to go away, and flash is where it will be. And clearly, we couldn't have done this without the support of all our customers and partners, so this obviously is a great milestone for us. As I come to an end, I just want to leave you with this thought. I think the way a lot of enterprises used to think about data and data storage, I think it will attract a lot more attention and seriousness, because the complexity is only going to go up. And we are going to find data in almost every part of our life. In fact, I heard from Dr. Maslekar that he was talking about medical devices and medical innovation. You will find data sitting in those devices. You will find data sitting in manufacturing machines. And with that complexity going up, and with the story on security and vulnerability, I think this is going to attract a lot more seriousness and attention for most companies. But the good news is that there is enough technology and expertise available to be able to solve any of these challenges that come our way. With that, thank you once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And we request you to kindly remain on stage. I will request Mr. Pradipta Biswas. Sir, we request you to kindly remain on stage. And I'll request Mr. Pradipta Biswas, Chief Financial Officer of ABP Private Limited, to kindly come forward and present a memento to Mr. Puneet Gupta. Thank you very much for empowering us with so much information on empowering the world with data. Thank you very much, sir. And I request you to kindly take your seat